Alright, unfortunately I got to try my best to speed through this because I am quite busy right now, but I still do want to make a video on Planar Fissure, double the drops, double the garbage. As I'm uploading this, it did hopefully just release, or maybe a little after the NA server did just get it. It's already been out. If you've already done it on the Europe and Asia servers, I am sorry. So anyway, we're going to be going through every single world, and I'll tell you which ornaments are worth to farm and not worth to farm, and might just be something you use relic remains on, or something you should avoid entirely. Alright, so kicking it off with the first one. This one is not recommended just because Space Sailing Station is outdated, and also Fleet of the Ageless is relatively outdated. Neither of these sets are ever going to be the best in slot anymore. Ageless has been power crept usually by Lushaka, and Space Sailing Station usually never is the best. It's kind of something you use as a filler while you're farming for the new set, or at least one new set that is meant for a DPS. This is again just a filler. It's only 24% attack, and this is not like that great anymore. These actual output of this is not bad. 12% max HP is good for survivability, 8% attack for everyone is fine, but it is relatively not worth it. Talia set and also Vonwacq world is fine to an extent. You just want to make sure you actually benefit from both. So not outside of just 0 cycles. If you're doing 0 cycles and outside of 0 cycles, Vonwacq does have its value. This is really good just to have a character set up their debuffs or buffs right away, helping you hit action value points to get 3 turns within a cycle easier, as well as someone like Cyrene can actually use this with 180 speed and not need to reach 200 speed to get 3 turns, which can actually be significant in a lot of cases. And then on the flip side, Talia is really good for break characters. Something to consider about Talia though, with the release of Constance coming up, who is actually able to apply fire weaknesses and such, or it is actually a set you can actually use on the other break characters that aren't Firefly, so that's something you want to consider. But if you don't want to bother with that, maybe you're not going to pull for Constance, you just want to keep using whatever break stuff you have right now, then you can still use this, but you just want to make sure you have break characters and you have characters that can benefit from Vonwacq setups. In those cases, if you have both, it's definitely worth it. If you're missing one or the other, then use Relic Remains on one or the other instead and farm something else. Next up is probably the worst world in the game. Pan Cosmic is not really a set you use on anyone because the dog characters that used to use this set already have a better set now. On the flip side, Celestial Differentiator is the worst set in the game. You should not bother with this world whatsoever. Do not use any event on this actual world. Permafrost is also an outdated set. HSR Salsotto is still fine. 8% crit rate, 15% increase to ultimate and follow-up attack damage. If you use someone that uses ultimate damage, sometimes they have a better set, or this one is at least close. Follow-up attack characters have this power crept really by Duran, since a lot of the characters can actually farm it up themselves. So I don't really recommend this world just because it's paired with Belobog, and Belobog's not really a set you use on anyone anymore. The only 2 characters that use it still are Japard and Fire MC, and those are 2 sustains you generally don't really see anymore. If you really want HSR Salsotto pieces because you don't want to use Duran, or maybe in setups where you can't, then use Relic Remains on HSR Salsotto instead. Next up would be Rutilant Arena and Broken Keel, which can be a fine world because Rutilant Arena is still really good on characters like Finon. The best in slot difference is only around 2% still. Best in slot for someone like a Noxa, best in slot for Archer. You can use it on a lot of other characters because it's usually not too far off from the best in slot anyways. So this is actually a worth set overall, but on the flip side, Broken Keel is also a relatively outdated supportive set. It can be something you do use when you want to put it on a more universal support, such as someone like Sunday. Sometimes on Sunday you can pair him with people that might not scale off attack, and so Lushaka wouldn't really want to be there, but 10% of crit damage can work for the most part. So this can actually be an option you put on more universal supports that might not just go for attack skillers, so you don't always want Lushaka on them. But since it doesn't have energy regen, it can be more on the outdated side because 5% energy regen from another supportive set is usually what sets it apart. So Broken Keel is relatively outdated, but if you're in the case where you do want better Keel pieces, it can make this world really worth. But if you just want Rutilant Arena, use Relic Remains. Glamoth and also Penacony is also a still valuable world. Anyone that can actually make use of Glamoth usually can have it as their best in slot still. A lot of the characters that used it that were high speed, like dog characters, got a new set, so it did decrease the value of it, but it is still a very good set. Flip side, Penacony is a great supportive set when you are able to use it, especially since you can stack it. Using Bronya alongside Blade, Sunday alongside Maide, Bronya also alongside Archer, Sparkle alongside Emiya. There's a lot of cases where it's actually applicable nowadays, as opposed to before where it was kind of just Bronya setups and then Mono Quantum. But now there's a lot more setups, so if you do have DPS that can hit Glamoth thresholds and benefit out of it, it's a good value. And then same with Penacony, if you have supportive characters that can use it. In that case, this can be a worth world, otherwise it's not going to be worth it overall. Again, you don't really want to farm a world where it's just one, because that does significantly decrease your odds to get a chance of anything good. So if you only need one or the other, Relic remains. Next up is Unclaimed Desolation and also Izumo. This is not really worth it because while the Unclaimed Desolation set is good, gives you up to 40% crit damage and 4% crit rate, it's just something you really only stack up in Pure Fiction. And usually the other sets have better value overall since you don't need to swap to a specific set in Pure Fiction. Usually you can just use whatever other one. And then Izumo, while it is strong on a lot of characters that actually run as the same path, like if you put it on Phasia, you'd have to run alongside Topaz or Moze or Hunt March 7. On Akron as you're pairing another Nihility always, or the Herda as you're always pairing another Erudition character. In that sense, it honestly makes it not worth it because it's just 12% attack. If you have a really good build and your crit rate is already made up for, you don't need the extra amount. But in cases where you do need the crit rate, that's when this set is valuable. So overall, this is another Relic Remain thing. It's better to farm something else. Duran and Forge are both very valuable. Duran's always the best in slot for follow-up characters. The only time it's not is if you're running a follow-up character on a team that might have slower follow-up attacks, so you can't actually stack it up, but usually that is never the case. Forge, on the other hand, is the best in slot for any break character, technically, if they do have the fire weakness, and as I did mention when I was talking about Talia, fire weakness will be applied by Constance, so technically, this is the best in slot for every break character now. But if you're someone who already has farmed a really good Talia set, you don't really want to replace it, then you can ignore Forge entirely, and it'll mainly just be Duran. So if you are someone that uses break characters and you want to do that constant setup, or maybe you just have Firefly, Linksha, and you end them alongside Firefly and so on, same with Gallagher and such, and you have the follow-up characters, if you just have one or the other, don't bother, but if you have both, then you'll be good to go. Next up is Lushaka and Bananamusement, both really good sets. Lushaka is probably the best supportive set in the game. This usually goes on most supports nowadays because it has energy regen and a good attack buff for your hyper carry. The only downside is its attack, so you have to use it on attack skillers and would be useless with anyone else. Flip side, you have Bananamusement, which is a good set, but you only really want to use it on Aglia and Jingwan, although other characters nowadays, when you run them with Danhang, Permans, or Terre, are actually able to fully utilize this set now. So if you put it on Anaxa, he would get 16% crit damage, Danhang would attach a summon to Anaxa, and he would get the full crit damage value of 48%. So if you are running DPS that like crit alongside Danhang, you can actually use this on them as a replacement instead, so that can actually make this a very valuable one because every account can benefit off Lushaka at this point, and Bananamusement has its uses, so this overall is a world I can just recommend in general. Next up is Bone Set and Giant Tree Set. Very valuable for current meta stuff because the Bone Set is the best in slot for every HP scaling DPS slash sub DPS, so Tribi, Maide, Evernight, Castris, Blade, Jinglu, so on. Flip side, this is technically the best in slot when it comes to any healer. It's mainly Hyacinth because she hits it no matter what because you need 200 speed plus, which is a byproduct of just hitting 180, so you get the full effect. But if you're able to hit 180 speed plus on Gallagher or Luotra, it's going to be the best for their healing, so it can be the best in slot for healer wise. So most accounts can definitely benefit off this. Only if you ended up skipping out on the HP meta, you can ignore this just because then you wouldn't have any use for Bone and Giant Tree. Maybe you have just Hyacinth just for other characters that you maybe pulled her for. In that case, Relic remains. Next world is Arcadia and also Revelry. Arcadia is only really used by Evernight if you're not using Bone, but mainly Finon. It can be their best in slots in different cases. Evernight has just a bit of different cases, but for Finon specifically, it's like 2% different from Rutilant Arena actually, so it's not worth fully farming on its own unless you really want to get the best results. In those cases, you have Finon, maybe Evernight could use a better ornament set, and you want to use this instead. That can be something to consider. While on the flip side, Revelry is just the undisputed best in slot for dot characters that are actually dealing damage, so not Kafka, just because Kafka is more of a dot support now. So if you have dot characters like Hyacinth, Black Swan, whoever in triple dot setups, or maybe just another dot to pair with, Revelry would be always valuable for you. And then on the flip side, if you have the characters I mentioned, Arcadia is valuable, which can make this world valuable. But if you're missing one or the other, once again, Relic remains. And then finally, we do have the Amphoreous set and also the Tengoku set. Right now, both these sets are niche. The only one that really uses the Amphoreous set is actually just Cyrene. You can use it on other Memo Sprite characters, but Cyrene's like the main one that uses this. Crit rate is nice. 8% speed for your team is good, especially since it helps others hit breakpoints that they might not already hit. Speed buff for on Cyrene when you're pairing up with Crisis Heirs is relatively universal as well. So it's the only one that really doesn't benefit from the speed buff is Tribi and also Castris. So she's kind of the only character that uses it right now, so if you did pull for her, this set does have its value. On the flip side, Tengoku is only actually for Archer right now, and also Isle Donning. Those are two characters that can actually use it. I'm pretty sure it is Archer's best in slot. I don't actually know for Danheng for right now. But if you do use IO Danheng, it's useful because Danheng does consume 3, Archer can consume way more than that. Both of them can get a 48% increase to crit damage. So if you use either of those characters, which would mainly be Archer in this case, you can definitely have this. So if you have Cyrene plus Archer / IO Danheng, this becomes valuable. Otherwise, if you just are going for one or the other, again, Relic remains. That doesn't wrap it up. I apologize for going a little faster than I usually do on this video, just because, again, I did mention I need to get this out as soon as possible, and I'm recording it not too close before reset, and I have a lot of things to do right now, so I need to get on that. Anyway, I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, drop a like, would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and set the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star Wars content. Check the description to join the Discord, and check out my Arcadia channel, and I'll see you later. Peace out.